Questions 11 through 20 on the 2004 Grade 7 Gauss Math Contest. What is the median quiz score of the 25 scores shown on the bar graph? So each score on this quiz was achieved by a certain number of students. And then they want us to figure out the median, which would be the middle value. So a quiz score of 8 looks like was achieved by 3 students. So we got 8, 8, and 8. And then a quiz score of 9 was achieved by 2 students. So 9 and 9. And in a very similar way, a quiz score of 10 was achieved by 6 students, it looks like. So I put that there. And then 11 was achieved by 5 students. So 11, 11, 11, like that. And finally, a quiz score of 12 was achieved by 9 students. Now they want you to figure out the median. There's 25 scores. So if there's 25, what is the median? The median would be the 13th number. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So there you go. That is the median value of a set of 25. And in this case, that value is 11. So number 11 is 11, and that would be choice D. The elevation of Lake Ontario is 75 meters, and the elevation of Lake Erie is 174.28 meters. A ship travels between the two lakes, passing through the locks of the Welland Canal. If the ship takes 8 hours to travel between the lakes, the average mean change in elevation per hour is. So Lake Ontario, we've got an elevation of 75 meters. Lake Erie, 174.28, like that. And we are basically going to travel between one lake to the other. So we're going like that. We're going to be going on an incline, it seems. And they tell you that that trip takes about 8 hours. So 8 hours to go up this incline. And the amount of meters that we will go up, we can calculate that incline with a simple subtraction. 174.28 minus 75. And then that takes 8 hours. So this is basically going to give you exactly what they're asking, which is the mean change in elevation per hour. So this becomes, if you do the math, 12.41 meters per hour. And number 12, therefore, is A. Two positive integers have a sum of 11. The greatest possible product of these two positive integers is. So we have two integers that when you add them equals 11. And then we would have to figure out the greatest value for A times B, like that. Okay, no problem. Let's just use inspection to figure out what possibilities we have. Remember, these are positive integers. So for A, the smallest one would be 1, and therefore B must be 10. And then we can also have 2, 9, 3, 8, 4, 7, 5, 6, and so on. And once you get to like 6, 5, the product will be exactly the same. So we don't need to go into that range. All right, now let's figure out A times B. For the first one, it'll be 1 times 10, which is 10. Next one, 2 times 9, which is 18. Next one, 3 times 8, which is 24. 4 times 7, 28. And 5 times 6 is 30. So of these, which is the greatest possible product? It's this one, 30. So number 13, the answer is E. How many even whole numbers lie between 3 squared and 3 to the power of 3? Even whole numbers. So 3 squared and 3 to the power of 3 is our boundaries, and we got to find all the numbers in here. So 3 squared, first of all, is 9. And 3 to the power of 3 is 27. So all the numbers in there, Won't take us that long to write them all out. And there you go. And we want only even whole numbers. All right, that's probably the mistake that most people make, is just count all these numbers. Only want the even ones. So 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22, 24, 26. So how many did I count? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 of them. So number 14, the answer is A. If P is equal to 1,000 and Q is equal to 0.01, which of the following calculations gives the largest result? Okay, let's just do these. P plus Q would be 1,000.01. P times Q will be 10. P over Q will be a big number, 100,000. Q over P will be a small number, 0.00001, I believe. And P minus Q gives you 999.99. Which one of these is the largest? Well, it's this one. P over Q. So number 15, the answer is C. What is the maximum number of rectangular wooden blocks with dimensions 20 times 30 times 40 that could fit into a rectangular box with inner dimensions 40 times 60 times 80? So the large box is 40 times 60 times 80. And we have to divide that by the smaller box, which is 20 times 30 times 40. And if we do, we'll get an idea of how many of the smaller boxes fit into the larger ones. Well, one thing I immediately notice is that each of these cancel to give 2. 60 divided by 30 is 2. 80 divided by 40 is 2. So there you go. In a very quick way, that's the answer. 2 times 2 times 2, which is 8. So that basically means that 8 of those smaller boxes could fit into that big box. So number 16, the answer is D. Kaylin is trying out a new recipe that calls for 5 cups of flour and 1 cup shortening. She only has 2/3 cup of shortening and uses all of it. How much flour should she use to keep the ingredients in the same ratio as called for in the recipe? So the recipe says 5 cups of flour for 1 cup of shortening. And we want to figure out how much of that flour we need for 2/3 of shortening, 2/3 cups of shortening. All right, this is a cross multiplication question. 1 times x, so 1x, is equal to 5 times 2/3. So 5 times 2/3, like that. And therefore x is equal to 10 over 3. What does x represent? The cups of flour. So 10 over 3 cups of flour, this is basically 3 1/3 if you make it into, a mix of integers and fractions. So 17, therefore, the answer is B. A rectangular wooden prism is made up of 3 pieces, each consisting of 4 cubes of wood glued together. Which of the pieces below has the same shape as the black piece? So this is a conceptual question here. You obviously don't have it in front of you, otherwise it'd be much easier. We've got to sort of figure out what goes in behind. All right, so the way I would approach this is as follows. This one, let's look at it first. The one that's white. It's 4 pieces is what they tell you, because each of those 4 cubes are what make up each of those. So we only see 3, right? So we have to, in our mind, figure out where does the 4th one go for that white piece. Well, okay, let's see. It can't go here, here, or here, because those ones are taken up by the gray piece. Can't go here. That one's taken up by the black piece. So the only place is somewhere that I can't even point to, but I'll tell you, it's basically behind this guy on the other side. Okay? I hope that helps you. So basically that means that the only place in the black piece for its fourth cube, there's only one possibility, and that is right here below that one on the bottom. You see what I mean? So I hope that makes sense. Now we have to figure out which one of these is that. Basically, you've got a situation. Some of you probably already figured this out by now, but just want to kind of hit home this question that you got this piece, right? And we figured out through process of elimination that the fourth piece of that piece, the fourth cube, is right below this guy, so on the bottom. And if you look at these answer choices and kind of think about it in a conceptual way, you will notice that is this guy right here, A. What they did is to make it a little bit more challenging, they flipped it. So they flipped it, I guess, upside down. So number 18, the answer is A. A two-digit number is divisible by 8, 12, and 18. The number is between. So we have 8, 12, and 18. So we want to basically figure out the LCM, the least common multiple. All right, no problem. 8 is basically 2 times 2 times 2. When we break it up into their prime factors, it will help us. 12 is 2 times 2 times 3. And 18 is 2 times 3 times 3. So now how do you get the least common multiple? Well, let's first look at 2. 2 you have to include at least 3 times, right? You got to include the largest amount. All right, no problem. 2 times 2 times 2. And then for 3, which is the other factor, I've got to include it at least twice because it appears twice in terms of the most it ever appears. All right, no problem. 3 times 3. This is my least common multiple. This basically is 8 times 9, which is 72. You can verify, is 72 divisible by 18? Yep. So it goes in 4 times. 72 divisible by 12? Yep. It goes in 6 times, I believe. And 8 is, well, 8 we know it's 9 times right there. So this number is between where? What range? It looks like number 19, that range is D right here. 72 is between 60 and 79. The area of a square ABCD is 64. AX, BW, CZ, and DY are all equal to 2. What is the area of square WXYZ? So a diagram a little bit bigger. First, let's figure out the fact that since they've given you the area, since the area of a square is basically x squared, and that's equal to 64, we know that x is equal to 8. So that means the side of the square is 8. All the way around, each of these sides is 8 for the big square, ABCD. And then they tell you that these sides are all 2. AX is 2, BW is 2, CZ is 2, and DY is 2. So that means that AW is 6, right? 8 minus 2. XD is 6. YC is also 6. And B to Z is also 6. Basically 8 minus 2 everywhere. Now they want you to figure out the area of the square. Well, this is the square, right? WXYZ. And as long as we can figure out the side length, we can figure out the area. Well, the side length is from here to here, and I'll just call that Z. Now, since this is a square, these are all right angles, and I can now use Pythagoras to figure out Z. So that would mean 2 squared plus 6 squared is equal to Z squared. 4 plus 36 is Z squared. And that means 40 is equal to Z squared. And Z is therefore equal to the square root of 40. Now, how do you figure out the area of the square? The length of one side is Z, so its area would be Z squared. Very similar to what I did there. And Z squared, we just figured out, was 40. So there you go. Number 20, The answer is D.